stop expecting care. Think about Lisa. She stayed up late helping her younger brother with homework every night for a week. Did anyone thank her? No. Her mother barely noticed. Lisa asked herself, am I invisible? Does anyone see how hard I work? How often do you do things like Lisa, give your time, your energy, and no one notices? How many of us stay silent to keep the peace, even when we're tired or in pain? Then there's Mark. He covered for his colleague at work for 3 months. He stayed late, finished reports, solved problems no one else wanted to touch. When the promotion came, it went to someone else. Mark asked himself, why do I keep doing more than everyone else if it never matters? How often do you give more than you receive? How often do you hope people will finally see your effort, and it doesn't happen? Think about Anna. She lent money to a friend who promised to pay her back in a week. Weeks turned into months. Anna waited, called, sent reminders. Her friend avoided her calls. Anna asked herself, do they really care at all? How many times have you helped someone and received nothing in return? How often have you been there for someone, but when you needed help, they were gone? Look at Daniel. He told his partner he was struggling with anxiety. His partner said, you worry too much, and changed the subject. Daniel felt alone, frustrated, unheard. How many of us have experienced this in relationships? How many times have we shared our feelings and were met with dismissal or annoyance? Why do we hope that care will appear where it never has? Think about Sarah, who always volunteered at her child's school events. She cooked, cleaned, helped organize, stayed up late preparing materials. No parent ever thanked her. Teachers didn't notice her efforts. She asked herself, am I doing this for them or for me? How many of us give care for others, hoping someone notices, and realize we are invisible? There's Tom, who cried alone after a breakup because all his friends were busy with their own lives. He stayed silent. He didn't want to burden anyone. Yet, when he finally called for help, most of them didn't answer. Tom wondered, was anyone ever really here for me? How often do we hide pain so others won't judge us, and then feel abandoned when they are not there? Think about Jessica. She always supports her coworkers emotionally. She listens to their problems, cheers them up, stays patient. When she needed support during a stressful project, no one offered help. Jessica realized that most people only cared about what she could do for them, not who she was. Have you ever felt like Jessica? That your emotional labor was invisible? Then consider people who disappear when you're no longer convenient. Who are they in your life? Are they friends, co-workers, family, or just people using your energy? How many hours, days, months have you spent caring for them, hoping they would care in return? Why do we keep believing that people will change? Ask yourself, how much of your energy is wasted on people who will never truly care? How often do you pretend to be fine so that others feel comfortable? How many nights have you cried alone, wondering if anyone would notice? How many times have you sacrificed your own happiness for someone else who didn't even acknowledge it? Consider your workplace again. Have you ever done something heroic, only to be ignored? Have you ever saved a project, fixed a mistake, or supported a failing team member, and the credit went to someone else? How often do we hope recognition will come, only to feel invisible? What would happen if you stopped expecting care or validation from anyone? Finally, ask yourself, are you afraid to stand alone, or are you afraid to stop expecting care? These are not the same. True courage is not hardening your heart. True courage is giving your heart selectively. True courage is understanding that your value is not dependent on others noticing it. True courage is caring without expectation. Can you do that? Stop expecting care. Observe the world as it is, not as you wish it to be. Clarity hurts once, but illusion hurts forever. Some people will always consume your energy. Some will only appear when it benefits them. Stop chasing people who will never give you what you need. Protect your heart. Choose yourself. And in that, find your freedom. Think about Michael. He spent months helping his neighbor renovate a house. He painted walls, fixed floors, helped with plumbing. When the neighbor moved in, Michael was not thanked. The neighbor barely acknowledged his effort. Michael asked himself, why do I keep giving without expecting anything in return? How many times have you done things for others that went unnoticed? How often do you hope your effort will finally be seen? Then there's Emma. She always checks in on her friends, asks how they are, remembers birthdays, offers advice. When she was hospitalized after an accident, only one friend visited. The rest were too busy. Emma wondered, did they ever really care, or just pretend to? How many of your friends are there for you, or only when it is convenient? Think about Jason. He constantly supports his team at work, taking extra shifts and helping colleagues with difficult clients. When he faced a personal crisis, no one offered support. Jason felt invisible. How often do we invest in others, expecting care in return, only to find none? Why do we assume that giving guarantees receiving? Consider Hannah. She helps her elderly parents with daily chores, organizes appointments, drives them to doctor visits. Do they thank her? Sometimes, but often they expect it as her duty. Hannah asked herself, am I helping them because I love them, or because I want to be valued? How often do we blur the line between love and obligation? Look at Kevin. He mentored a young colleague for a year, taught him everything he knew, guided him through projects. When the colleague got promoted, he didn't mention Kevin's help. Kevin felt used. How many times have you taught, guided, or supported someone, only to be ignored or forgotten? How often do we hope for gratitude that never comes? Think about Olivia. She volunteers at a community center, dedicates hours to help children learn and play. Nobody applauds her efforts. People walk past, distracted. Olivia asks herself, does it matter if anyone notices? How many of us give care quietly, without recognition, and feel our efforts are invisible? Then there's Daniel. He stayed up late comforting a friend who was going through a breakup. He listened, gave advice, stayed on the phone for hours. When Daniel went through his own heartbreak, the friend didn't answer his calls. Daniel wondered, was our friendship ever real? How often have you supported someone emotionally, only to be abandoned when you needed help? Consider Sophia. She organizes family events, prepares meals, decorates, plans everything perfectly. Everyone enjoys it. Who thanks her? Rarely anyone. Sophia asks herself, do they love me, or just what I do for them? How often do we confuse care with utility? How often do people value what we give, not who we are? Look at Tom again. He helped his sister move across the country. Packed boxes, drove hours, fixed broken furniture. She barely said thank you. Tom asked, was I ever helping her, or helping myself feel needed? How often do we sacrifice our time and energy hoping for acknowledgement? Then think about Claire. She constantly offers emotional support to co-workers and friends. When she needed advice about her own career, no one answered. Claire asked, Do they really care, or just need me when it's convenient? How many times do we provide care to people who will never reciprocate? How often do we expect care where it will never appear? Ask yourself, how many hours, days, months have you spent caring for others, hoping they will care in return? How much energy have you given without receiving anything? How often have you hidden your pain, thinking it makes you strong, only to feel exhausted and unseen? Are you strong, or are you just surviving without support? Now, imagine if you stopped expecting care. Imagine if you chose yourself first. If you gave care selectively, wisely. If you protected your heart from people who would never value it. What would change in your life? How would it feel to stop chasing validation? How would it feel to finally stop explaining yourself to those who don't listen? Finally, ask yourself, are you waiting for people to finally notice you, or are you ready to notice yourself? Are you waiting for care that may never come, or are you brave enough to stand alone? Some people will never care. Some people will only take. Stop giving to those who drain you. Protect your energy. Choose your care wisely. And in that, find freedom. And in that freedom, find strength.